I'm a pretty young podcaster, but I think I will be considered one of the OGs. I've been around for a minute, but I wanted to kind of touch on that whole Katt Williams interview and how the community, right? The whole comedy community is being destroyed right now. A lot of people used to look at me and be like, Jeff, man, you should go on a comedy, dude. You so funny. I never did it because I don't really think I'm funny. I'm kind of like, my top three greats, George Carlin, Dave Chappelle, and Katt Williams. And I explain why during this video. I'm going to explain why. But I think just watching the community right now be at each other's odds, and they're getting a lot of the fans of comedy all at each other's throats over this concept of jokes being stolen. Now, anybody who grew up watching Dave Chappelle or watching George Carlin and watching Katt, said anybody that grew up watching these people, they can relate to them. That's why we like them. Some of us grew up listening to, Bill Burr. And so Bill Burr's very relatable. So we laugh at some of his jokes because they're very relatable. Sometimes we've got, gay comedians out there. And if you're gay, you relate to a lot of their jokes and they might be in your top three. Just like, dude, she's the funniest comedian or he's the funniest comedian. And because you relate to them and their jokes don't go over your head, like me, I might be sitting there and I might not even laugh. I might be like, well, what are they talking about? Oh, you don't know, man? Friday night spatulas? I'm like, I don't get Friday night and spatulas. What the fuck? So it might be something that goes completely over my head. Not saying that, gay people do shit on Friday night with spatulas. I'm just using that shit as an example of a comedian telling you a joke that goes over your head. Yo, Friday night, spatulas? I'm like, I don't fucking get it. So I never really listened to a lot of gay comedians because their material may not resonate with me. But a lot of the material that Katt says, Faison, he's funny as hell to me. Kevin Hart's funny. George Carlin. It resonates with us. So we tend to gravitate towards comedians who we love to listen to. And Dave, he's a really good storyteller. A lot of people tell me, Jeff, man, you a lot like Dave Chappelle. You tell some pretty good stories, man. And my stories always got funny shit through it, but it's real life shit that I say. It's real life shit. And when I sit and I listen to Katt, it reminds me, when I was listening to him on Club Shay Shay, it reminded me so much of a Dave Chappelle story. Like, Katt wasn't really being Katt right then. We know Katt. I tell y'all, Katt is one of the greats. Maybe, I'm telling you, he's in my top three. Give a fuck what nobody say. He's in my top three. And I'm not just saying that because of what happened on Club Shay Shay. I'm saying it because in reality, when you look at all of Katt's material, all of his catalog, this man has never flopped. He is funny. He is naturally funny. He has never flopped on anything. Dave Chappelle, on the other hand, is a great storyteller that will tell you stories that have jokes in them. It'll make you laugh as he's telling a story. Now, Katt wasn't joking on Club Shay Shay. He wasn't joking. He was telling a story, but it was so funny through parts of the story. That, to me, was Dave Chappelle. That to me made it feel like I was listening to Dave Chappelle speak, not Katt Williams. Katt, I'm used to him being not as serious. And he's a serious guy. Like I said, he's a mix between George Carlin and Dave Chappelle. When he talks about, really deep things, he can really speak on it. He's deep about it. When he speaks about humor and tells stories, he really gets into his Dave Chappelle mode. But he's also Katt Williams, one of the most versatile comedians you will ever meet. And he's an artist with it. He can switch gears with it in real time. And I think that's why everybody gravitates towards Katt, and they believe Katt, and they know Katt, and they trust Katt because they've listened to all his material. They listen to his catalog. And I sit and I see other artists out there inspired by Katt. I'm inspired by Dave Chappelle. Y'all can tell because you'll see my videos. You'll see some Dave Chappelle shit in my videos. I love Dave Chappelle. That's my guy right there. And everybody's always like, man, you just like Dave Chappelle. Dude, you be cracking me up. You be telling some stories, dog. But I'm more like, I'm just me. I think I'm a mix of every comedian. I'm more like George Carlin too, because I get pretty deep into some material sometimes. But I always end up with something funny at the end. Somewhere in the story, somebody's going to step in some dog shit. And you know it, and it's going to be so funny. All my stories end up where somebody's stepping in dog shit at some point, and everybody's dying laughing at the end. And it's not even intended to be like that. But I just talk about life. And in life, people step in dog shit. And oh man, I got shit all over my shit. Man, what the and it's funny as hell to us. And that's how Katt is. He tells stories about real life that we relate to. When another comedian is relating to the same story, it's almost like, let's say Katt is the artist that paints in acrylic. So he paints in acrylic, beautiful acrylic paint. Everybody loves it. Another artist says, oh, I paint too. but he just paints in watercolor. So he paints in watercolor, but he uses some of the same color Katt uses. He might paint he might paint a structure in the background, just like Katt's got a structure in the background, but he's doing it from his own experience. We all grew up with certain experiences, which is why we relate to certain comedians. And some of the comedians out there that are also performing right now, they grew up with the same experiences that Katt grew up to. So a lot of times, if we talk about government cheese, I'm not stealing the government cheese joke from somebody because they talked about government cheese. I grew up on the shit too. So I'm going to talk about the government cheese. I'm going to talk about the government peanut butter. The next comedian might say the same shit, but from his perspective. Doesn't mean he's stealing my material. His life is not my material. What he experienced is not my material. My material is what I experienced, what I went through, and I'm going to tell it from my viewpoint. Another comedian can say almost the exact same shit. We grew up in the same way, and he might say it funnier. He might not say it as funny. But I can't take his material away. I can't take his life away and say, you never grew up in a lowrider. I did. You never drove an 87 Caprice Classic with Sir Vegas in the back, motherfucking wires everywhere and shit. It's people sitting in the back seat thinking they putting a seatbelt on. These motherfuckers grabbing my power wire. I had wire every fucking where in that Caprice Classic. Some of us grew up like that. We didn't know how to wire shit together. We had hood wiring. What they call it? Rigging. We back there rigging shit up all day. Wires, motherfucker, back seat be on fire. You can smell smoke and shit while you're playing fucking, Too Short. Like, what the fuck is that smell? Everybody grew up like that. And so if a comedian started talking about his experience in that, I can't say, bruh, you stealing my material, man, because I talk about the Caprice Classic with the fucking seatbelt, the power cord, motherfuckers grabbing my power cord thinking it was a seatbelt because we got wired. You stole that from me. But what if he did the same thing? I can't take his experience away and say, you can't use your experience as my material. Now, not all material is somebody's life experience, like Dave Chappelle. Dave Chappelle say, hey, I kicked her in the pussy. I ain't never kicked nobody in the pussy, so you'll never hear me say that shit in one of my jokes. But Dave Chappelle say the shit, and it's funny as a motherfucker. And kicked her in the pussy. And everybody's dying laughing because it was so unexpected. It was so Dave Chappelle. It was because it was so serious, and he fucking woke you up with a sense of humor, and that's just Dave Chappelle. He tells a great story. He pulls you in, and you're like, oh, man, this story's getting good. And I kicked her in the pussy. And everybody's like, oh, this shit's so... That's just Dave Chappelle. So when I see jokes like that, that to me is a true joke. It's a true characteristic of his art, his talent. But basically telling a story regarding a material or regarding something that we all go through life, it's almost hard to say it's a stolen material. It's somebody's life, and they choose to paint a story. Comedy is nothing but art, just like painting. So they're just painting a story. And they're saying, hey, man, this is what happened to me one time. I was dating this girl, right? So we went on this date, right? And I left my wallet in the car. Now the comedians say, bruh, I already did a joke about me going on a date and leaving my wallet in the car. You can't do the same joke. It might not be a joke. The shit might be for real. So you got to give people some leeway. Give them some leeway. And I'm really speaking to the greats. People like Katt Williams. You are one of the greats. Get this man his fucking flowers right now while he here. He is the great. When he said he the king and people walk in the room and he walks in and people hold it, that's what you really do to people. Because I was an athlete one time and I had to stand in the elevator next to Carl Lewis. Motherfucking 8-time world Olympian. We was in Des Moines, Iowa. I had to stand next to Carl Lewis in the fucking elevator. I was going to race him the next day. You don't think I respected that man? He was not my competitor. He was my mentor. He was somebody who I looked up to. When you look up to somebody, you got to kind of hold your head down a little bit because they've been through some shit. They put the work in. They've done it. So I respect Katt for that. And I respect him saying, everybody being real about it and saying everybody kind of holds their head down when he walks in. He's not lying. Anybody who's ever been in indie industry where there was competition, there was art, there was hard work involved, we know when a great walks in the room, you do not hold your head up above that great. You don't do him like that. That's disrespect. It's disrespect. You keep your head low a little bit. You get this man his flowers. You show him some respect. And I'm just asking the King Katt and other comedians out there, give people some leeway. Give them some leeway for material. And the comedians out there, if you know your material is sounding eerily like another comedians that you probably heard, at least get that comedian credit at the end of your fucking show. When your show is done and everybody's done laughing, just say, hey, you know what? I ought to give a shout out to the audience. Y'all, thank y'all for coming out tonight. Detroit, y'all motherfuckers, y'all treated me right. Also, like, thank, my man Kevin Hart, Dave Chappelle, my mentors in this game, Katt Williams, and some of my material might have sounded a little bit like theirs because I grew up on them. I experienced them. They in my soul. So when I'm speaking, you really hearing them coming through me. I'm manifesting them too. These are the people who I look up to, who I grew up to. These are the people I enjoyed listening to, that I enjoyed being a part of my life. So give these people some credit at the end of your show if you know your shit is sounding eerily similar to theirs. That's the best you can do, or the least you can do, rather. That's the least you can do. Because if you're going to sit up there and do a whole fucking show knowing that some of your material was inspired by another comedian, get that comedian they flowers on the fucking spot in front of everybody. Don't have this shit go down like how they went on Club Shay Shay. And yes, Katt is right about Kevin. And everybody believes that he was an industry plant. A lot of people do believe that. Do I believe it? I'm not even nobody. I am nobody. I am nobody. Trust me when I tell you that. Everybody knows that I'm no fucking body. But I do believe Kevin was put into positions of success by people who were invested into him. People saw something in Kevin. Kevin is a great. He's a great. Don't take that shit from him. But he was put in a position to be great. He didn't have to earn it like a lot of people had to earn it. People saw something in Kevin. It's almost like you seeing a homeless person on a corner and you going, man, if I take you home, give you a shower, shave you down, put a suit on you, I bet I can get you an interview, dog. That's kind of like what they did to Kevin. He was like, I'm kind of funny. I write material. I'm good. I'm this. I'm Kevin. He was so different in the comedic industry. He was so different. They was like, we can invest into this guy. Just like with rappers. When they get advances and shit like that, we like this girl. Let's invest in her. We like her. Let's bring her on. Let's see if we can generate some sales with her, build up an audience for her, create a market for her. Let's do that. It's called a plant. So Katt is right. People think industry plants are like a theory, like this shit don't happen. No, they're investments. That's what industry plants are. They're investments. They put you up on all this shit. They bring you in. They give you all this money. They market you. They advertise you. They get your name on contract. They put you out there and you get a small percentage at front because they're advancing all this shit for you. They're building you. You didn't build your catalog like Katt built his catalog. They're building you. When they build you, then they say, you owe us when you make it. And when you make it, now you're cutting checks back. It's called an advance. So Katt's not wrong about a lot of shit he say. Like even Ice Cube said he kept it 100. And I believe that. Katt ain't got no reason to lie to nobody. He never has lied to nobody. Even when people said, oh, he was this and that. Just like when they said Dave Chappelle was crazy. Remember they said Dave Chappelle was crazy? Oh, he's crazy. He's out of his mind. He's on drugs. Even Dave talked about that. What did Katt say? The same shit. They was taking pictures of Dave Chappelle when he was just waking up out of a fucking coma, sleeping and shit. Oh, man, good morning. They'll snap the picture real quick. You see a picture on the news of Dave Chappelle like, he was like, look, he's on drugs. Man, that motherfucker was stretching. He just woke up. And dog caught the picture, used that shit out of context. They was doing Katt Williams the same way. Katt get out the motherfucking shower, hair all wild and shit. This motherfucker like, look, Katt's on drugs. It's like, dude, what was the context of that? Why don't we have a whole video? Why do we only have a snapshot? Because you can screenshot anything and say a motherfucker's on drugs. That's what they did to Dave Chappelle. He talked about it. They did the same shit to Katt Williams. They do that to everybody out there. Sometimes the pressure does get to you as a star. The pressure will get to you. And what do? You kind of like close yourself off from the world. Once you do that, people think you tripping. You closing yourself off from all this fame. You closing yourself off from all this money, all these deals on the table. You must be on drugs, motherfucker, because anybody would take the chances you got. Sometimes they like, dude, I got enough. I just want peace for a minute. Give me a minute to fucking think. I'm tired of contracts. I'm tired of money. I'm tired of people coming in hey, man, can you loan me 10 G's, dog? I know you got it. Hey, man, can you pay off my grandma's house? I know you got it. She looked out for you as a kid. Motherfuckers need a break sometime. Hey, man, give me a fucking minute. So I get it when you get fame. When I was in college, I had a small bit of fame. I was setting records and shit and tracking all that. And it was weird walking across campus sometimes. Hey, Jeff, saw you on the news. Hey, come to our party this weekend. Man, I got to do this. I got to study. I was an accounting major. I need to get my accounting degree. I didn't party like a motherfucker. I'm trying to pass these accounting classes, statistics, shit like that, economics, micro and macro. I'm trying to get the fuck up out of there. So, of course, A lot of people didn't like me in college because they thought he's an arrogant son of a bitch. Won't even come to our party. We said free beer. Motherfucker, I'm 20. I'm not even drinking age yet. Fuck free beer. My coach catch me drinking, I might lose my scholarship because you offer me free fucking Budweiser. I don't even drink fucking Budweiser. But yet, that's how shit is. Motherfuckers get mad at you. When you got a smaller, we're going to have Jeff Watts at the party. Yeah, we're going to have Jeff Watts at the party. Oh, that dude on the news? Yeah, that dude on the news. Oh, man, we running that Drake relays. I got Drake across my chest. All these motherfucking 30,000 people in the stands and shit looking at me because I got Drake on. Who's the guy from Drake? That's Jeff Watts. Oh, my God. I take statistics with that guy. He's standing next to Carl Lewis, Michael Johnson. Oh, shit. It was a little bit of fame I had in college. They call them track stars back in the day. Track stars. I was a track star. So I know how it gets to where people start fucking with you all the time. Either wanting to bring you with them or they want to take you down if you don't want to go with them. Oh, you don't want to roll with me? Well, I'm going to take you down. You on drugs, motherfucker. I'm going to tell everybody you on drugs. I'm going to tell everybody you this and you that. That's how they do people for real, like in real life. So I get what Katt is saying. I get what Dave Chappelle is saying. But what I just want Katt to understand out of all of this shit that's going on, give comedians a little leeway. I know we're going to go around all the time talking about people stealing people's jokes and, people stealing people's act in a movie and stuff like that. Oh, man, Steve looks just like, Mark Curry, and they did the same. Sometimes people get inspired. They just don't give credit to the people that inspired them. And that's what pisses me off, just like it pisses Katt off. Give credit to the great that inspired you. Don't act like you above shit. Like you invented it. You created that energy. If that energy came from somebody else and it did at the end of your show. I like to thank George Carlin, you know what I'm saying? Because I know I be ragging on the government like a motherfucker sometimes. But you know what? I grew up listening to Carlin. I talk shit about the government a lot because I grew up with an open mind. Thank you, George Carlin. Thank you, Dave Chappelle. And sometimes you got to just say that shit so the audience knows who the fuck you are. Who built you? How are you here? You didn't just pop the fuck up like Kevin Hart out of nowhere. Like somebody just grabbed you off the street. Man, let me give you a fucking shower. Shave you down. You know what I'm saying? Put a suit on you. No. You can't just plant me in somewhere and watch me grow, motherfucker. No. Let me build myself up. Let me nourish myself. Let me tell the audience how I got my nutrition. I listen to Katt Williams, y'all. I listen to Dave Chappelle. I listen to Kevin Hart. I grew up on Mark Curry. I did a lot of shit, man. Said the Entertainer. I listened to him a lot. Even from St. Louis. I'm from St. Louis. I listened to Joe Torre. Joe Torre's sister actually was my track coach. Real shit. Joe Torre's sister was my track coach at Kirkwood High. Anybody over, and you put these motherfuckers side by side, they look like twins. And she's married and she's done coaching track and she's moved on in life. She's doing amazing things and everything. But from the moment we saw, I'm like, you remind me of somebody. And she would always laugh. Back in high school, she would laugh because she knew exactly who we was talking about. But she never used her brother as clout. And that's real shit. I learned from that woman, never use clout.
The difference. That's what these comics understand, is that I'm not doing nothing for clout. I don't even recognize clout.
She could have used clout on anything she wanted to. She could have said, well, Joe Torre's my motherfucking brother. She could have said, no, this lady stood on her own too, her entire life. That's why when Katt said, I don't even recognize clout. I'm telling you, Coach Woods knew better than to use her brother as clout. She's like, I'm going to stand on my own too. This is what I do for a living. I create athletes. I don't got to ride my brother's coattails. I create athletes. So I always gave Coach Woods her respect. Always. Even when I found out her brother was Joe Torre. Never tripped. I never tripped on that. I never looked at her as a superstar because she didn't build herself as a superstar. She built herself as somebody who built stars. And I have always respected her for that more than anything else. You can ask Joe Torre. Yeah, say, hey, man, your sister coach track at Kirkwood. Yeah, it's a motherfucker on the internet right now talking about, and Coach Wood, she'll hit me up. She'll be like, that's fucking Jeff. This motherfucker right here. She probably won't say it like that, but, she'll be like, Coach Wood, she was always that person who stayed humble. She never rode clout, and she taught us, don't ride clout. Do this shit on your own. Do it on your own. I learned that shit at a young age, 16, 17, 18, listening to Coach Woods. Do this shit on your own. Never ride clout. Do not be a fucking plant that somebody just grabbed off the fucking street and shaved down. No, you earn every fucking thing you work for. So it resonates with me when I listen to Katt Williams, when I see his catalog, I see his career. Because if you grew up a certain way and you vibe with a certain person and a certain energy, you will understand them. This shit won't go over your head. Friday night fucking spatulas. I don't know what the fuck Friday night spatulas got to do with none of this shit. But when it comes to Katt, I know what he's talking about. I feel what he's talking about. I grew up with people in his circle. And I'm sitting here like, I'm in Arizona just loving my life, enjoying driving my little fucking BMW around, picking up these dusty motherfuckers every day. I love this shit. It's fun. But at the same rate, I know I still have a voice and I still have an existence that can connect the dots for a lot of fucking people out there. Because a lot of people don't even see it. We're all related. Nelly. One of my best friends, William, is one of Nelly's best fucking friends. My buddy Will Lee, he's down in motherfucking Houston. His son plays football up, NCAA football up at UNI. That's my man, number 8 right there. Little Lee. And we sitting there like, man, and Murphy Lee, you look at Murphy Lee. Murphy Lee's mom is my cousin's, like my cousin has a dad. My cousin Mike, his dad and Murphy Lee's mom are brother and sisters. This is how closely related all this shit is. My cousin Mike, his mom and my mom are sisters, blood sisters. Mike's mom, but Mike's dad and Murphy Lee's mom are brother and sister. We're all linked in St. Louis in some fucking way. And a lot of people don't even realize how. They do, how do you know these fucking people, man? Bro, do you know me? No. Then how can you say that? And that's why it's so important for us as just people in general, a community in general, whether we're comedians, just average funny motherfuckers at the barbecue. That's me. I'm just a funny motherfucker at the barbecue. I'm not a comedian. Not at all. People always say, Jeff, you should do comedy. You fun. No. I'm just a funny motherfucker at the comedian. I'm Uncle Jeff sitting over there by the motherfucking ribs and potato salad. That's me. Go have your Uncle Jeff tell you a story about that one time we was at Taco Bell. No, I ain't telling them that story, man. I ain't telling your kids that shit. It's not a funny story for us. But that would be me. They will always say, hey, get Jeff tell you that story that one time. No. Remember that one? No, I don't remember shit. Don't have, man. I'm not saying that in front of your kids, man. Don't ask me. But you tell it funnier, Jeff. And sometimes that's what comedians do. We all live the same stories. Some of us just tell it funnier than somebody else. Some of us don't tell it as funny. And it might be funnier to people that relate to us than when you, like let's say Katt told a story to me. We'd all die fucking laughing, cracking the fuck up. But let's say Katt told the same joke to people who couldn't relate to it. It wouldn't be that funny. But if they related to another comedian and a comedian told a joke in the same theme, they will laugh like a motherfucker, like it's the funniest shit they ever heard. Those people win. The art of comedy wins. All that comedian has to do is say, I like to thank Katt Williams for inspiring, part of my show. He really inspired me. A few things I said kind of may sound, and people are going to say, oh shit, you listen to Katt Williams? They may migrate over to Katt Williams now. Give people they fucking flowers. This is what Katt's talking about. Because maybe the fans you talking to, they may know he exists, but they may not know how funny he is. And when they hear him tell the joke, they may say, oh shit, Katt told it better, way fucking better. Because it was probably Katt's original inspiration, his original energy. So a lot of us, when we repeat something else based on energy or inspiration, we've got to return that fucking energy back to where it came from. Put that shit back in the source. Thank you, Katt. Thank you, Dave. Thank you, George. Thank you, Bernie Mac. I've done some Bernie Mac shit, laughing like, I'll be like, oh, you motherfucker. I be doing shit like that all the fucking time. People be dying laughing. They be like, dude, say that. I be in the car like, oh, see, you motherfucker, no, man, you motherfucker. And they be in the car cracked. They do, you sound like Bernie Mac, you funny as a motherfucker. But I don't really sound like that for real. That's really how Bernie Mac sounds. But they know that I'm giving this man his flowers, even by keeping his energy and his spirit alive. And they know when I finish, I'm not going to say, I don't know who talk like that. That's how I talk, dog. That's how I do my comedy. They know it's not true. They be like, dude, that's Bernie Mac. I'm like, yeah, you right. It's Bernie Mac. You give flowers and you give energy back to the source where it came from. You don't leave motherfuckers like Katt hanging. You don't leave a king hanging. You taking shit out of his fucking kingdom and you never bringing some of that treasure back to him. It's fucked up. It's fucked up. Because when Katt says, hey, I'm the king of this shit, and I go around, and I've been doing this for years, 190 shows in 100 cities, something like 1,900 fucking shows. This dude did. I haven't even ran that many fucking track meets. I ain't even ran for that many minutes. Who the fuck am I kidding? I ain't even ran for 1,900 fucking minutes. I used to run a 100-meter dash. That shit's seconds. I run a 200-meter dash. That's 20 fucking seconds. This dude did 1,900 fucking shows. I ain't even ran 1,900 fucking minutes. I'm like, shit, Katt, I didn't even know that. Thank you for letting me know. But return that energy. Get this man his fucking flowers. I know everybody listened to that Club Shay Shay interview and they want to divide the community up, the comedy community. Let's not get divided on that shit. Let's not. Let's understand what Katt is saying. He's just saying, you motherfuckers are not giving me my flowers. And he don't mean us. He don't mean us as people. He means these people who fucking used his treasure to purchase the kingdoms they got. His treasure and his gift was his comedy, his routines, his energy, his inspiration. And they took some of his treasure to build they fucking kingdoms, and they never returned shit to this man. Pay this man.
You're going to pay me.
And I will say, if you found this little podcast interesting enough to share with somebody who might want a little insight on how we can keep this community together, because the comedy community is pretty big. The last thing we need is a bunch of black leaders getting all the black people up under them to all fight each other, all based on an opinion that I think was clearly misunderstood. This is about giving somebody their flowers. This is about giving somebody credit for the work they've done, the investment they've done in this community. I get where Katt's coming from. He comes at you real. I come at motherfuckers real and they don't like it. So I get where he's coming from. When somebody comes at you real sometimes, they don't know how to take it. So this video kind of smooths over that transition from Katt Williams to understanding where Katt's coming from, I would think. Thank you guys for sharing this shit. Hope I got more podcasts like this coming up because this is not something I normally do, but I want to protect our community. We all we got.